Hello again, everyone. So in this video today, we're going to have a look at creating a dormer opening and feature set on a roof. It's a question I've had from a few people, so let's have a go at that and see the process involved and see some of the commands that we need to use. So here I'm looking at the ground floor plan of a very simple house. Some elevations, and I haven't really assigned any internal breakdown. I don't even think I've done a roof. Oh, I have. Okay. So let's take a look. You can see some of the dimensions on here. Just a little note, if you're looking at a drawing or a floor plan like this in Revit and you find the dimensions are just that little bit too small, you can come down here, change the scale, pop that up to say 1 to 100, and you'll see all the symbols scale up. So it can be a little easier just if you're trying to work in Revit. To be honest, I prefer them a little bit smaller. I don't mind not having the big text because usually when I want to read the dimensions, I'm zooming in and having a look around like that. So I think I covered it in another video, but let's take a look. Let's just see what we've got here. So I'm just going to move this stuff around a little bit. I think one of my dimensions are still locked. Yes, it is. So let me unlock that. So just to show you how I did the dimensioning. Um, so I want a dimension between, say, these two walls. If I click this wall, I'm not going to get it. I'm going to get the dimension that this wall was taken from. Now I can modify this dimension. Okay, so if I don't want excuse me, if I don't want this dimension to be from um, this this particular wall here, I can grab it and drag it and place it onto a different location just with these little handles. Okay, so I want this vertical dimension, which should be there. Okay, I'm going to click here. This makes a temporary dimension permanent, and then I can modify the dimension. Okay, now if I double click on this, you'll see I don't get any of the dimensions come up. Okay, so just be aware that when you make it permanent, you're just putting it in as a note. Okay, that allows you to lock it or things like that. If I want to actually modify the dimension, I need to highlight over the wall again. This is the modifiable dimension. So now I can type in 8 meters. Okay, and you can see that's updated. Now, if I try to drag this wall, you'll see it changes the dimensions. So let's just undo that, click on the dimension, click on the little lock, and now that dimension is locked. Okay, so just bear that in mind. I'm going to repeat that process around. I'm going to first of all change that to 8. Then I'm going to change it into a dimension, permanent dimension, and lock it. I want the dimension between these two walls, so I'm just going to start selecting one of the walls. Let's change that to 10 meters. Make it permanent and lock it. And then the same for this one. Make that 10. Make it a permanent dimension and lock it. So now, oops, there's one dimension I did not lock, which was that one. So let's make that back to 8. And then let's lock that off. So now the whole thing should be fully constrained. And I can only move the whole structure in the X and Y. All right, so let's get down to it. We should find that our roof has updated with the changes that I made there. And if we have a look at my elevation, you can see I have a foundation layer minus 900 level, sorry, minus 900, my ground level, first floor, and my wall plate level. Okay, so the walls themselves, all of the walls go from the ground up to the wall plate level with no offsetting or any changes. My roof is on the wall plate level. I've got no offsets, and I have it defined as, sorry, when I said I have no offsets, I have no offsets in the Z, but I do have an offset an overhang of 400 all the way around, and only these um, entities, these sketch entities, are defining the slope. If I wanted this one to define the slope, you can see I can check on it, but we can get into the roof one a little bit further on. Okay, so that's the setup that I have, just a very typical roof. The roof that I've chosen is this one. Okay, so I've gone for 30mm tile, 25mm batten, 0 felt, 25 batten, 100 insulation, 150 truss, and then 12mm plasterboard on the inside. Okay, and I'm going to do the, that's a standard one, by the way, that roof. I don't think I customized that. I think that's a standard one. So the dormer, I'm going to draw on the wall plate level, and I think I'm going to do I want a big dormer opening here. Okay, so let's give that a go. So the first thing I'm going to do is come to the dormer level. And when you zoom in, you're going to see the ridge tiles and things like that, just because they're applied as a texture onto the roof. If you don't want to see that, you can hide these off. And if I just click on it and click on the temporary hide isolate, so I can hide that element, okay, and that's hidden off for me, okay. Now when I click reset, you'll see it come back. The other way of hiding that is right click on and go hide in view this element. Okay, and that completely gets rid of it. Now I have to go back into my reveal hidden elements and you can see them here. Okay, so let's leave it off for now. Well, actually, I actually prefer to draw with it on there. So I'm going to select it and I'm going to go unhide in view these elements, and then we're going to go back into our view. So I'm going to draw a wall. I'm on the wall plate level. I'm going to draw a wall. I'm going to make it a 100 partition wall, plasterboard 75, and let's do a block. Let's do a block wall. No, let's do stud. It doesn't really matter actually. Very indecisive. Doesn't really matter what we do. So let's just go with the block. Okay. So I'm gonna do a dormer. Let's say it's gonna come out here and it's gonna come quite far and then back in and roughly to there. Now you'll notice that when I drew that, that the inferred, let's do that again, the inferred snaps came on, okay? So what do I mean by that? Well, what that means is if I start to draw over here now, you'll see a blue dotted line, sorry, pop up. That means it's inferring that it's vertical to the end of that wall, okay? It's not a full constraint, but it's inferred, and then when I place it, I know that it press escape twice to drop the tool. I know that it's vertical there. Okay, let's take a quick look in 3D, and there we can see our wall. I can see it inside. It's starting at the wall plate level, and it's gone up pretty high. So I'm gonna hover over it, tap the tab key, left click to select, and it's unconnected on the top constraint. It's on the wall plate, so I'm gonna make that about, let's go 1800. That looks okay for now. Let's try it with that. Okay, so let's pop in the roof next, and let's go and do that on our wall plate level. So I'm just gonna go another roof. I'm gonna make the overhang this time 150. I'm gonna say the walls that define the slope are these two. So that one and that one. I don't want any slope at the front. So if I zoom in, these ridge details are, this texture that's applied to that roof is only going to stay. But if I zoom out, you should see eventually it just disappears. And then it's easier just to select it. Then the last thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw out a line just to close that off. This will just create the roof for me. We can see the slope there. The slope is down as 30 degrees, I believe. Yep, can see it there. And there's my 150 offset. So let's click OK. Let's choose our same roof that we did before. Would you like to attach the highlighted walls to the roof? I'm going to say yes, attach them. So now if I go to my 3D view, you can see it's very low. So let's add an offset. So let's make it about, let's try 2 meters for now. Okay. I know it's very high and I can see that there is going to be an issue, but I just want to show you that, okay, before uh, before we do any joining or anything. Sorry, when we're doing the joining, I just want to show you that. So let's try and join it now. So we've got our walls in, we've got our dormer roof. We haven't done any trimming yet, and we have not done the opening. So we can see all these walls on the inside. So let's go to the Modify tab. Let's click on Join Roofs. I need to click on the edge that I want to join first. So I want to take that edge and join it to this roof. So let's click that edge, click on the roof. Okay, and now you can see this is the issue that we're going to get because it's a little too high. Okay, so now let us simply come into this roof and let's bring it down to a figure where it should work. We might have to come a little lower. So let's just double check on our walls there. Well, we had these at, I had these at 1800. So let's come down a little lower there. And then let's come down to, I think 1750 is the figure. No, a little lower again. Okay. And more. Okay, too low. There we go. Okay. Now, that's actually tidied things up nicely. We can see our walls in there are extending well beyond. They're nicely trimmed up to the roof there. We don't have our opening or anything. So the next stage in the process then, we could add the opening now, but it's a little difficult with the walls untrimmed. So let's trim the walls. Let's attach the walls to this. So hover over the walls again, tap the tab key, select it, and then we can go attach, base, click on the roof, and there we go. Okay, so now these walls are nicely trimmed to that roof. Let us now put in the opening for the dormer. So if we go back to our architectural tab and we go to the openings panel, go to the dormer. So for this one now, we want to define the insides of the opening, okay? So the first thing that we want to say is we want to create an opening in this roof. And then we're through to this familiar uh, menu, okay, with our modify panel. You'll notice we don't have a sketch, okay? We can't draw lines, but we can pick entities, okay? So let's pick this roof. So I just click there and you can see the sketch lines come in. I want this wall here. Now, if I hadn't trimmed it, I would probably find it quite hard to pick it. There, I'm hovering over the bottom. If I hadn't trimmed this wall, the bottom is inside there. It'd be a little hard to pick, okay? So I'm going to pick that wall, and I want it on the inside, so I'm going to hit these little arrows, pop that inside, pick that wall, put it on the inside, and pick this wall and put it on the inside. Apologies. Pick that wall, put it on the inside. Now we just need to do a little bit of trimming. So let's pick we want to keep this side and keep this side. So I want to get rid of that. So click over here, click here, and we can see it's trimming. I want to keep here, keep here. So these are the areas that we want to select. We're just selecting the parts of the lines that we want to keep. There we go. All looking good. Now we can click finish. And if we have a little peek in, we should see our opening. So let's go back to our wall plate and let's put in a section view. We go to view, section, left click to start, left click to finish. Section has gone in. Double click the section. And then we can come down and just go shaded, turn up the detail to fine. And then we can see there's our wall. It's been attached to the wall. Why is it attached here? It's attached there because if we come into this wall and we go to our edit type, we go to the structure, the core boundary is the core structure, sorry, is this timber truss, 150 millimeters. So we've got our tiles, our finished tiles at 38 mil. We've got a wood battening there. We've got felt, which is there somewhere. Then we've got the wood, another layer of wood of 25 millimeters. Then we've got a thermal air layer there, and then we've got our 150 timber joists, and then our gypsum wallboard at 12.5 is here. Okay, let's just show you that in action. So let's change that to 250. Click OK, apply. So there you can see that one just getting a lot bigger. Okay, so let's put that back to 150. Okay, apply that. And there we go. So that's why that wall comes and joins to this. This is the core structural, and that's kind of what you need to define. So let's do the same with these sidewalls. We can see these sidewalls just popping up here. So we should, when we attach these walls to this roof, we should see them attached there. So let's give that a go. Let's go back to our 3D. Hover over the walls, hit the tab key, left click, that selects all of them. Then we go to the attach the top to this wall, to this roof, sorry. And there we go. So let's go back to our section view. Let's have a look. Excuse me. And there we can see our wall has been extended up through this plasterboard to join the core wall finish, or the wall structure of the 150 millimeter truss. Okay, we can see everything nicely trimmed up. We can see our roof attaching nicely. A little bit overlap, but that's the way it shows it. We've got our opening here. Everything else is nicely joined up. We've got a little bit of an overhang, which you can increase, by the way. If you come into the sketch, go to Edit Boundary, and you can highlight on that and increase the overhang to anything you want, just to give, let's go a little bit further, just to give the look or the finish that you're looking for. Go back to our section view, then we can see a nice bigger overhang there. Okay, and then of course once you find a window that is the right size, you can start to add it on there. Okay, hope this helps. Sorry it's 17 minutes long. A little bit longer than I hoped, but that's usual for my videos. Okay, take care. Talk to you soon.